Live. We're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very special celebration. We're very happy here in Latin American Webinars on Physics because we are celebrating 10 years of bringing webinars all across the globe, wherever you can connect on YouTube. We are very excited about this occasion and this small reunion with organizers, former organizers, and previous guests. And we want to talk a little bit about what this 10-year experience has been like. And to do that, we have a very special group of guests. Today we have with us Professor Diego Restrepo from la Universidad de Antioquia. He's currently a professor at la Universidad de Antioquia, but previously he got his PhD at la Universidad de Valencia. We also have Professor Rogerio Rosenfeld, who is currently at the Institute for Theoretical Physics in Unesp, Brazil, but he's also currently the Vice Director for the ICTP, International Center for Theoretical Physics, the branch in Brazil, and previously was the President of the Brazilian Physical Society. He's also currently the President for the Latin American Association for High Energy Physics, Cosmology, and Astroparticle Physics. And finally, we also have Professor Fernando Quevedo, who is currently a professor at NYU Abu Dhabi, previously was a professor, and he's currently an emeritus professor at Cambridge University, where previously he was a professor, and also he was the director of the International Center for Theoretical Physics in Trieste. During this conversation, if you have any questions for our guests, we will actually be joined in a few minutes by Professor Marta Losada. We'll introduce her when she joins. But if you have any questions for any of the guests or the organizers during this webinar, please feel free to write your questions on the chat of YouTube. We'll be happy to share your questions with the group. And if you have any comments or any suggestions, we're very happy to have you all to celebrate these 10 years. And it's been our pleasure to have you as our audience during the past 10 years. And to start our meeting today, I'm going to give the room to Roberto, who will start with a short presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Walter, for the presentation. I feel like I'm giving a webinar like we used to do all these 10 years. So first of all, there are people that are saying hi in YouTube. So hi everybody in YouTube. So and of course we are very happy because of these 10 years. We didn't know that the times pass very fast, especially when we start with this, we didn't expect to be I don't know we just push to go forward to try to do our best to try to keep communicating, and then 10 years passed and we have been doing a lot of stuff. You can tell me if my screen looks
Yes, everything good.
okay. Now I can see here. So first of all, we were saying before in the beginning, the idea of this webinar is a special event to celebrate our 10 years or the first decade, because it's for us is a lot of effort, and it's a large fraction of our scientific life doing this. So I remember in the beginning when before the idea, all of us, we were basically postdocs, even though they were one of the collaborators that incorporated later, that I guess he was just starting the PhD. I guess Alejandro was in 2015, maybe he was even in the master or in the bachelor bachelor student. So it's very nice to know that we were started from the postdoc, and now all of us were in universities teaching, forming new generation of physicists. So for this is we are happy to arrive to this point in this milestone. So I want to start with a bit of history of the LAWPhysics, how it was born, and of course all the collaborators, Nicolas, Walter, everybody can talk in this part if they have some extra sauce to give us more information about the different aspect of the webinar. So the idea basically was born in a SILA-FAE in Medellin in 2014. But the idea, in fact, was more, maybe was a way to escape of reality, because in that conference, there were some kind of social event, in which Diego, that is here also in the room, make the kind of instead of a social dinner, he make a social lunch in the Parque Arví. Parque Arví was a park that is in the top of Medellin, very high, a lot of rainforest and very, very nice for nature. So he took us there to have lunch, a very abundant Colombian lunch. And then he said, okay, we're gonna have a little walk between the forest. But the point was to cross the whole park around. We walked in the middle of the mud and everything. And since we were talking, the idea was going, it appears. So maybe you can hear, you can see here some of the people. There is Diego here, Federico. There are other people here. There is John Ellis also. Also, we were very, I mean, not surprised, but we knew that John Ellis was very sportman, like to have a lot of activity. And meanwhile, everybody else, we were very far because we ate a lot and our physical shape was not so good. John Ellis was the first one arriving and crossing the park, so we were also shocked. We were saying, oh, okay, we have to do something with our life. So, but this walk across this Park RV was between this inside this SILAFAE conference that was a Latin American symposium for high energy physics. And there was the idea that many of us, we were Latin Americans, we were going to Colombia, but we were spread across the globe. In that time, I guess I was in Valencia. Joel was maybe in
Yeah,
Valencia.
I
Or
was
no?
back in Peru at that time, but I had just returned.
Yeah.
And
So
I was very
Nicolas,
surprised by the difficulties that I found when coming here and coming back here. I remember that.
yeah, I guess Nicolas was at that point in Antonio Nariño, I
São
guess,
Paulo.
Sao Paulo. So, but at that point, we find that to go to Medellin physically was very hard. And also we noticed that there were many activities that we can start to maybe share in some way that at the time was not was not common to do this stuff of webinars. There were some efforts. We were discussing the other day that, for instance, some system were the Evo from CERN, but was very troublesome to make it work in something that it was not Windows. There was something with Adobe Connect, I guess, in the time that also was troublesome. So at the end we said, okay, let's try to do something with the tools that we have at the moment. That was basically YouTube was a platform that was quite known and but not in this format. And then how to connect with YouTube to make it more accessible to all the people in the world. And then we have to deal with the know-how, how to make the webinars, because they were not common in 2015. And in the beginning, we were many people, myself, Germán, Jorge, Joel, Nicolás, Federico, Avelino, and then we started just chit-chat, contacting our old collaborator to webinars, and then so on and so forth. We started to advance in this, and then 10 years later, we are here. So at the beginning was we were very enthusiastic and very nervous because we didn't know how to do the webinars, which was the format, but we started to try to have 2 webinars per month, and then so on. We started to make many efforts. At the beginning, we have talks by, I didn't say that, but our first webinar was on, I guess, March 11th of 2015. And
Actually,
then
there's a typo there, Roberto. I just noticed it was in February.
February.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why we're having the celebration in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
So the point that we started in the beginning with seasons, like, I don't know, maybe in those times there were the series Lost and Game of Thrones. I don't remember which was the series at the moment in 2015, but they have this stuff with seasons, and we said, okay, we're gonna make seasons like in the series. And then we started with season that was each 10 webinars. We're gonna change. Now we are completely messed up with in which season we are, but let's try to each time that you see a change in the number is 10. There are 10 webinars. So in the beginning we started with experiment like AMS, a lot of stuff from ourselves and collaborators. Later in the season 2, we started to change because at some point it was very demanding to dedicate time for the webinars, even though was kind of just go in front and talk, but to have this coordination to find the speakers, to find the date for the speakers, when he can, when we cannot, and so on and so forth. And it was very demanding. And so we have some changes because of all other responsibilities that we have. Avelino left, Diego and Alejandro Lapuente joined. So we started to do more webinar in different topics because at the beginning we were more or less focused in high energy physics and dark matter, neutrino, because for the people that they initially formed, were the coordinator, we have all more or less this line of expertise. And then so on and so forth, the time start to pass. We have more season. Then Diego left. We tried also to have talks of hot topics of the moment. Also in that time, there were in 2016 there was this atom key anomaly from the possible MEV fourth boson that was observing a Hungarian experiment. I remember something like that. Some talk of machine learning when machine learning was not so common like nowadays. Season 4, Jorge left, and then we continue to try to keep update all the people in Latin American and not only in Latin America with this type of topics.
On season 4, I personally had an existential crisis. As you can see on season 4, it's all about dark matter, right? It's basically all about dark matter. And I remember a lot, some people not wanting to give webinars because at that time, a lot of people thought that we only did dark matter, right? I remember that comment, but isn't this a series of webinars on dark matter? And like, no, we want to do more things. But for some reason, on these first seasons, we concentrated quite a lot on dark matter. And that time I didn't know anything. I was so bored.
Now we have other talks and
now I've been dragged into it.
yeah. Yeah. Also, I remember that in the beginning was also very hard to find, not hard to find speakers, but people that wanted to talk to the computer without mostly feedback from people, because the webinar at that time, they were no common. I mean, people prefer to go to a conference and give the talk. And then we were also to explain them to, when you go to a conference and give the talk, if you're not the plenary speaker, maybe you don't have a lot of audience. And usually conference, they have many parallel sessions. And if there is the chance that people want to go to your seminar, but cannot because they are going to the other. So the idea was to convince them the idea of this is kind of a seminar in a university, but the nice stuff that the video since remained in YouTube, people in later time can watch your webinar maybe to ask question and start a collaboration. So the idea was like this, like to complement with many topics. And you can see here that in the season 5, we started to do more other aspects like flavors and cosmology we started to include to escape a little bit of dark matter. But nowadays, if you see the webinars of nowadays, there are less dark matter and more other topics, because also after 10 years, the different topics have been changed. What was hot in that time, I mean, many people doing this type of research have been evolving because of the I don't know, how naturally the fields are changing with the time. So maybe in season 6, we started to introduce, I mean, in later 2017, we started to introduce also the colloquium, because also we noticed that maybe to do webinars like in the way of very specific topic for people that are already doing research on that field is good, but maybe people that are like master student or PhD student that they are introduced to the topic, maybe it's a good chance to try to tackle broader aspects. Like in that case, we start with a little bit of an introduction to machine learning in particle physics, because was kind of already the mathematics behind the statistics and analysis, the statistical analysis in high energy physics could be complicated. So many people were started to look for machine learning like a way to improve this type of analysis. And in that time, there were these machine learning like a hot topic, and especially in particle physics. And nowadays, it's already established that many tools or many analysis at LHC, like either Atlas, CMS, they use techniques based on machine learning and neural networks in general. Also, we were keeping an eye on what was happening at the level of Latin American, having talks for the possible future experiment Andes, the underground laboratories. In those time was growing to be a thing. Also to talks about the HOC, the high altitude water Cherenkov array that is in Mexico, and also to open to have speakers from Latin America itself, either in Latin American institutions, but also Latin Americans that are abroad, or any people that want to talk was welcome. So, and after this season, we realized that after the time we arrived to the 50 webinar, and we wanted to celebrate because we didn't know that after 3 years or 4 years we arrived to have 50 webinars, and we asked to John Ellis to give a talk. It was very nice of him to give the talk about and to tell us about what is the future of high energy physics in 2019, I guess was his talk. And we continued giving talks, I mean, to organizing the webinar because we were like on this, it became kind of an habit that we were doing each 2 weeks, we push, and then the time passed. So after that, we have the bad news or good news, we don't know how to call it, that Google shut down the Hangout on Air because that was the original platform that we were using to connect with YouTube. We changed to Zoom before Zoom became popular because of the pandemic. So it was something, a tool that nobody was used, but allow us to connect with YouTube. So we push with that. And then in 2020, we already know that we have the global pandemic of COVID-19. Everybody started to do webinars because since we were locked down in our houses, everybody was giving seminars, conferences, everything was done remotely and online. And we already have the know-how. So for us was just keep doing what we were doing. After that, already in 2020, we arrived to the 100 webinars because also thanks to the global pandemic, it was much easier to find speakers and to organize. We were, I remember there was 3 months that we were giving webinars each, maybe 1 week, 3 webinars per month or 4 webinars per month. So it was crazy the amount of people that wanted to talk during the pandemic. And then we reached the 100th webinar, and we asked to Ray West and Kip Thorne to give some webinars, and we have 2 Nobel Prizes here to celebrate the 50 years of the LAWPhysics. Then we continue evolving, learning more. We started to, thanks to maybe I guess the word the coordination of Alejandro, that he wanted to include at the level of the colloquium to try to give more than physics, to have some advices for the newer physicists. Let's say, like, for instance, people that finish the PhD and they don't know if they want really to continue doing research or they want to have a change in the life. So we have some webinars, some colloquiums for instance, for the scientific career, how to develop, or what other roads scientists can take that is not in the academia. So we have some colloquium on this aspect. We continue. Here Walter joined to as coordinator, and I guess
Another thing, sorry, since you were mentioning Alejandro, another contribution by Alejandro is the fact that we also started including topics, formal topics on gravity and these kind of things, because we were mostly focused on phenomenology, right? And Alejandro started bringing these more formal topics.
Exactly. Yeah. So in that sense, we expand to other fields because of since we didn't know people from doing gravitation or numerical simulation of gravitational waves, was very hard to 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 invite them to give webinar. But thanks to Alejandro, that at that time he was PhD student, if I remember well. So he was super enthusiastic with this idea. And also he's doing some activities in Colombia. I mean, he's in United States, but he has some association in Colombia to do this science outreach. After that, no, no, nobody leaves but we already continue doing, we already kind of a regular pace. We are right to the 150 webinars, and we are now in this 178, this webinar, but we turned 10 years old with this initiative, and as you can see, we have a lot of nice drawing that we were doing for each webinar, that the idea is to give some personal touch to the organization.
You were doing.
Yeah, also I was in the beginning was just for fun, and then was kind of a challenge. So what was the idea of the LAWPhysics in general? Just to go a little bit faster, is after the year we want to keep three things common, like to have a platform with talks with these cutting-edge topics on high-energy physics, gravitation, astroparticle, on other topics in physics, but especially to motivate communication and collaboration between the communities. We know that Latin Americans, they are everywhere outside Latin America doing physics because they go to, for instance, to do a PhD, they are postdocs or professors, but also there are people in Latin America trying to do science, and there are this gap that make it harder to go to conference from Latin America, or for instance, to travel from Europe to Latin America because it takes 1 day, 2 days to arrive to the place. Meanwhile, if you you live in Europe and you go to a conference in Europe, you can go even for 2 days or 1 day. There is no this gap due to the geographical location. Also, the lack of funding is something that is making harder for going from Latin America to abroad, and also to give more opportunities. So, and also to taking advantage that YouTube is a free platform, let's say. I mean, with ads, but it's a free platform in which we can share this, and there is no geographical boundaries, let's say. People that is in India, and we are going to see some maps. We have a lot of followers in India that they can follow the webinars, and even though they are not in the same, I mean, when we have the webinars here, most of India is sleeping, and then when they wake up, they see the webinars, and we notice in the views. So in part of all those is all this effort that we have done during the years. We have some interview from the Symmetry magazine in which we tell about the history here. There is some artwork from the Symmetry magazine people with the Parker B, some nice views. You can check the article or look it in Google to look for the article itself. And of course, we try to spread this. So some numbers just to make it more technical in that sense. We already more than 170 webinars. We have 2,000 subscribers, even though it's a small number for big YouTubers. For us, we are very happy because it's physics, higher energy physics, and many other stuff are very not popular, let's say. We have a lot of views. Many of the big numbers are related with the kind of Nobel Prizes, people that are very known in the network, like Flip, Tanedo, etc. And
Yeah.
you can see here the views. Maybe Joel.
Yeah. Well, basically, Jane Gainier was the first colloquium on machine learning, right? So that's got a lot. And Flip was talking about the Tomke anomaly.
Yeah, that one moment was hot.
Yeah.
But
Then Sean Hartnell was giving a talk on quantum gravity. right? I remember enjoying that talk. Marco gave a talk on the B anomalies. And then Alexandru Lupsaska gave a talk on the photon ring, you know, when they took the photograph of the black hole.
Black hole. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I stopped collecting names because yeah, you know it.
Now there are many. In general, all the views, all the webinars, they have more than 400 views for that.
Yeah.
So it's not and here we have like the timeline of the views versus the years, and you can see here the Nobel Prizes, the peak of Nobel Prize. Anyway, so other stuff that also some statistics that we, in this case, Joel, take the data, the institutions or the people where at the moment when they would give the webinar where they were located, and you can see that we have talks from many parts of the world. Most of them are in US because since there are many postdocs and PhD students that go there from Latin America, it's a little bit concentrated here, but you can see that we have people from most of the part, and also we visualize some voids, let's say, in Latin America itself, because there are not so many people in those countries. Like in Ecuador, it was hard to find. Well, I mean, we haven't found anybody want to give a talk. Maybe Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay. I know Uruguay we have, and Venezuela and the Guyana, of course, that we don't. Since we have to try to find people, but also we have some talk from people from South Africa, and of course the rest of the world. And here there is Israel and Abu Dhabi here, the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, when I set up this thing, I found it very interesting because initially we had most of our talks were from Germany and Brazil. And then okay, USA was more or less there. And then again, when Alejandro came and we started moving into this formal stuff, then at some point the USA like boom, you know, exploded. Because initially it was more or less like same numbers as Germany and Brazil. But then since Alejandro is in the USA and with lots of connections there, then it exploded.
That is true, because as you said, before Alejandro and Walter, the coordinator, we did the PhDs in Europe in general, let's say it. So we were connection in those parts, but now with Alejandro and Walter, we have the explosion in US.
Yeah, so maybe this is more a map of our network rather than anything else.
Exactly. So, and also with the time we were looking a lot of the webinars, and we noticed how we changed during the year. There are ones that change a lot, others change less. You can see the faces of the people here. Joel is here. Joel looks more or less the same. He haven't changed. I didn't put a photo here, but I changed a lot. I can see my change from black hair to white hair during the years, and in the middle of the pandemic with the long beard also is the change. But yeah, you can see the 10 years is not a small. I mean, there is a fraction of the life of somebody, of everybody. So naturally we change with the time. So also, just to finish, just because we have to continue with this celebration, is how we have evolved the artwork for the webinars. In the beginning, they were just kind of doing something that representative, but then we started to make some nicer and nicer tools. This was a kind of my own challenge, because in the beginning was just drawing with Inkscape. Then I started to change to other tools and exploring and getting this know-how to make these tools. So I guess this is from my side. We can continue with the next speaker. I don't know. It was Diego, I guess, is the next one. I mean, if you have questions, but in general,
You could have a question for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately for the viewers, Walter had to leave as he had to give lessons, right? Such is life nowadays. when one's a postdoc, one doesn't have to worry about the things.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
Maybe,
So
maybe
anyway, maybe I don't know if anybody would like to comment on something, or if not, we can pass on to Diego, who will give us some interesting information regarding the statistics of high energy physics, cosmology, and astroparticles in Latin America. I think you're preparing a paper on this, aren't you, Diego? You're muted, by the way.
Okay. Thank you very much for this invitation. It is a real pleasure for me to be here because, as Roberto mentioned, this idea was born in Medellin during the SILAPI. I was also a permanent viewer of this effort, and it's a pleasure for me to be that is still growing and strong. So I was invited here in particular to talk about another effort in Latin America to create a community around high energy physics, cosmology, and astroparticle physics. Rogerio will talk about more about that later. And one part of this is really to know our community. And fortunately, we have the tools that we can use to try to have some ideas about that. So in this case, we will work in some statistics related to these topics. First I turn to Manuel Morales for many slides that are using now. The objective of our study is to generate a public database that analyze and assess the status of the high energy physics community in Latin America. For that, we are using the INSPIRE HECAP, that is the database for high energy physics that has a very long history. In fact, was the first website in Latin America and the first website that used a database behind the server. And the database also always has contained the words in our community. Now the web page is very well designed, with very modern technologies, and in particular, one of them is the structure of the data itself. INSPIRE use these kind of objects or entities that are related to the lists and dictionaries of programming. For example, in Python, you can have a list with several elements, but you can also dictionaries when you have a key and a value. The point is for the data structure is that the lists and the dictionaries can be nested. So you can have tables inside the tables with many enriched data. This format to present this embedded table is called JSONs. For example, a very simple object is kind of farm, where you have several tables, one list for the animals, another list for the fruits, etc. And you can for this object, and if this object is sufficiently complex, maybe you can ask questions to that and get some answers. So this is the idea with INSPIRE. In INSPIRE, there are several objects and entities. One of them is one called the profile that contains the information, the enriched information about each author in the platform. The profile is initially created automatically in INSPIRE, but any user can log in with their ORCID credential and fill out all the other information like the position, the advisor, etc., etc. All this information and all the data from INSPIRE is available through the APA. So, for example, we are using the profiles of the people in our community. And with this, we were able to generate a database that is in this repository along with all the open source software that we was using for the analysis. So what kind of thing we can make with Inspire? For example, I will show how can I get all the information from Chile. So there are several profiles in Inspire. One of them is institution. There you can search for a country and all the institution of a country appears. Basically, when you have any URL in Inspire, you can just put IPA inside the address, in the internet address, and automatically you have one matching output that is in this JSON format with all the information. Now you can easily process this with any computer software. For example, we use Python, not Python, and with this information, for example, we can get the full list of institutions in Chile. And for institution, with the search field affiliation, we can get the full information about the production and authors of one specific institution, for example, University of Chile. This is the official name in Inspire. We can use logical operator to restrict the search to until 10 authors. And even you can filter the metadata for very specific information. This IPA is very well documented and complete. With this exercise, for example, we are able to obtain the full list of authors from Chile and store this in our database. So in this way, we have obtained the full list of papers of a given country with until 10 authors. The papers from collaboration are left for later studies. The database was obtained several years ago, and we are in the process also to update that. We are associated the author with the country through the authorship in the list of authors. So if one author appears with one affiliation of a specific country, the author is tagged to belongs to that country independently of the real nationality. So result, the full result will be have very soon in one paper by Manuel, that is now in CISA, Fernando Quevedo, that is now in Abu Dhabi, and Mario Ramos in Cambridge, and by me. Here, for example, we study the correlation between the global population data and the development of the high energy physics community regarding this global data. We have all the Latin American countries that have some contribution in Inspire. We were considering, for example, some information required for internal communications. For example, we are able to obtain basically of the email from the Latin American authors to improve our community. And for this study in particular, we have the total number of authors, the publications, citations, indices, and with that, we study the collaboration with other countries and extra information about gender representation and so on and so forth. So, for example, here is the percentage of Latin American publication compared with the world. And we can see surprisingly that our contribution is still rather low. It's at the level of, in the last year, of 5%, and in average is around 30% of the global production. In Inspire, by the way, if you just enter in the search bars, automatically you have all this production, around 1 million of papers, with this average citation per paper. we can check, for example, this data with a global database for bibliographic info. Maybe the most accurate now is OpenAlex, that is also with a very good API and open data. They have something called topics that can define very well a community. For example, our high energy and so on and so forth is defined by these topics that are created through bibliographic integration. I can put also the filter on the authors, and in this way I can get roughly the 60% of the paper from Inspired, and check out, for example, that the contribution from South America in this case is 3%. So with this, for example, we check for the total authors in each country. And also we define the active authors as those authors that have papers in the last 5 years, and also normalize the total authors per million of inhabitants in each country. With this, for example, we have these top rankings that are reflected for each country. And here, for example, we have once the data is normalized, that Chile appears very prominently with authors per million of inhabitants, followed by Argentina and Brazil. And we can see also that the active authors are also strong in that countries. And in particular, in Venezuela, for example, we can see a reduction of the active authors. In terms of publication, we have some comparison, for example, between Argentina and Chile, with Chile growing and Argentina going more or less in a flat trend. For example, for Colombia and Venezuela, that are similar countries in size, we can see that the contribution in Colombia is growing, while the Venezuela, that was a very long tradition, is now obviously decreasing. We have also some correlation with the economy of the countries, and with this we can have some kind of trend that obviously imply that when the investment in research increase, the number of authors also increase. In terms of collaboration, we have a very interesting data about the collaboration between the countries in Latin America, where obviously Brazil have a lot of weight. For example, Brazil have a lot of collaboration with all the countries. We can see here, for example, that 30% of the Peru works was done in collaboration with Brazil, but the works of Brazil with Peru only represent 0.2% of the production, something like that. This is the collaboration with the world, and here the United States is our main influence, as we can see in most of the countries. We also in Inspire check the ranks in the positions, and for example, we can check here how is the trends in the profile of some author. For example, myself, I started as an undergraduate in Colombia, go outside for the doctoral and postdoc, and later return back to Colombia for my career. So in Colombia, we can see that many of the people that went outside return back to Colombia. We also did some kind of gender studies with the author, in which we can figure out the gender. And with that, we can see, for example, here that for the unique authors of each year in Latin America, we can count how the numbers of unique authors are increasing along the years. However, we can see that the female fraction in our community have reached one upper bound around 13% and is no longer increasing. Also, we also check finally, for example, whenever a position in one specific year is associated to a work, and check out the female fraction in that case. So, for example, here in the senior category, these 1,500 people have papers in the year that they declared that were senior. And we can see the so-called scissor effect, where the participation of the female is reducing along the increasing in the rank. So I like to have this opportunity to ask for the help of everyone, especially the people in our community, that please go to the profile in Inspire and log in with their seat, with his or seat credential, and fill out the missing fields in order to have all the information very good for further studies. So in the future, we plan to make further analysis and to try to have implication for this in all the communities that are working, the committees that are working in our organization, to help them in all the objectives that need to be reaching in the near future. In conclusion, we have one study that make one analysis of the situation of our topic in Latin America, and I hope that this can bring some ideas to improve and to have a specific requirement to be directed our institution and our governance. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Diego. It's been super interesting, super interesting. I don't know. Let's go for questions on this. I don't know, Rogerio. I don't know if you're available already.
I'm available. Yes.
Super. Yeah, this took a bit longer than we expected. But anyway, no, it's super. So when do you think this information will be available, Diego?
Just in a few weeks.
Ah, really? Super. No, this is very interesting. The ceiling, the scissor is very.
One thing, I imagine that you want to redo this for other regions, right?
Yes, in the future, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
fantastic.
I just wanted to do a small question to Diego. Diego, I mean, because since Archive, sorry, Inspires is so, I mean, it's for high energy physics, is very useful. I don't know for other fields because it's mainly HEP. But for instance, analysis related with the number of calls for PhD scholarships and postdoc position in Latin American also could be very interesting to, because in Latin America there are many, very few calls for that type of, I mean, there are positions for postdoc, but usually the announcement of these positions, they are not so common like in Europe. I remember in Europe when I have to.
You can see that, for example, in Colombia, that the program for scholarship at the postgraduate grade is very bad. Most of the people need to go outside Latin America, especially Brazil and Mexico, to make the doctoral studies. Yeah. So we can check out these trends.
Yeah, I mean, just wondered like if there is some relation between the size of the country and the number of calls that they publish in Inspires, because
The number of what, sorry?
if they publish in Inspires, I mean, for instance, I know that Chile, they have like the national grants, but usually institutions, they don't have private, I mean, own grants for postdoc, for instance. And also postdoc here in Chile is very restricted, that only you can apply for the national grant for postdoc if after 3 years of your PhD, of the obtention of the PhD. So there are no postdoc with 5 years after the PhD. So it's very there is a scissor here that is, if you don't get the postdoc after the 3 years of your PhD, you don't have no chance to get a postdoc in Chile, and then restrict to get positions in the university and stuff like this, like professor. So yeah, this kind of analysis also maybe. I mean, it's very interesting all the cross data that you can obtain from Inspired.
Yes, this is the motivation for your help to make this information even better.
Yeah.
So all of this information is particularly relevant for decision makers, right? Because, for instance, here in Peru, depending on who's in charge, they have different perspectives on what works and what doesn't work, right? But sometimes it's all based on opinions and not on facts, right? So this is super useful for decision makers. I don't know if other disciplines have such a platform, right? Because, okay, maybe they don't really care about particle physics, right? But if you say, okay, science in general, maybe this can also be done in other contexts.
Yes, the open analysis have a very similar structure to Inspire, are very similar and it's very complete. And the IPA have all this kind of information, except this kind of ranks are not available in open analysis, like postdoc and so on. Is something that is only in Inspire. But elsewhere, the information in open analysis is very good and it's very easy to establish specific fields and get good information.
So other people can be encouraged.
Yes, it is growing. It is have already $5 million for work, and it's very impressive. Yeah.
Super. So we have a question from the audience in YouTube asking if this information will be available in the LAWPhysics page. Well, so if you send us the presentation, we can post it there if you want. But of course, it depends on Diego, right? This depends on
Yes,
Diego.
of course. It's already published in the previous LAWPhy in some part.
Exactly.
At least the video is gonna be available in the YouTube channel.
Exactly. So I don't know if there's any other questions. The YouTube doesn't say anything. So well, maybe because time went by very quickly, we're supposed to do this in like 20 minutes and it's already been 50. So maybe we can go over to Rogerio, who will present an attempt of boosting high energy cosmology and astroparticles.
Okay, so first, thank you very much for the invitation. Second, congratulations to Joel, Roberto, Nicolas, and all the collaborators of this fantastic initiative. It's very rare to see an initiative lasting 10 years in Latin America in high energy physics. So I really congratulate you. You're like wed. No, you're it's a multi-way wedding here. This is fantastic. And I also want to congratulate Fernando and Diego and collaborators on this amazing work of survey of the statistics in our field in Latin America over all these years. Oh, this is a fantastic. Really excited to see this paper coming out. This is amazing. So what I'm going to talk about is some not as old as this initiative, but a somewhat newer initiative in Latin America, which is a community-based network, let's say. And this is the Latin American Association for High Energy Cosmology and Astroparticle Physics. And what I will do is just share my screen to show the page, and that's all the information you need in the page. So let me do that. I think it work. Now, okay, you're probably seeing the web page. Is that okay? Joel,
Yeah.
are you seeing the web page?
Yeah, it works.
Pretty well.
Okay, so this is the web page of this LAA HECAP, as we call it. So you can see the address is just laahecap.org. So this is something that was created in November of 2021, and this was the result of some recommendations which which were given after the first ever strategic planning in the areas of high energy cosmology and astroparticle physics done in Latin America. So this started in this another initiative called LAWPhysics, and that Fernando and Marta were really the driving forces behind this. So this is the Latin American Strategy Forum for Research Infrastructure for HECAP, our areas, that conducted for the first time an assessment of what we have as infrastructure and groups working in these fields in Latin America, and also provided some recommendations, 10 recommendations. So actually, I can go here and you can see in my page, this is the page of LAWPhysics. Actually, all the documents are public. Again, it's a community-based effort. So we asked for white papers, and from these white papers, there is a preparatory group that takes these white papers and we write a physics reports, and then from this survey, we have recommendations that are then sent to the high level preparatory group, and they make the final recommendations. So one of the recommendations of this effort was to have a more stable mechanism to conduct these surveys and have a community of HECAP together in Latin America. So yeah. I have to say that so you can see all the white papers submitted in the first strategic plan, and we are actually in the middle of an update of the first strategic plan, and we hope to finish it this year. We already had a call for white papers. We got the white papers in preparatory group, actively working on this update of the strategy. So this will come up soon. So so coming back to this LA HECAP, again, this was a result of this first effort, and it was created in 2021 at SILA-5. And the idea is actually to congregate the community, and the community has already two large things going on. One is SILA-5, and the other is this LAWPhysics now. So this LAA HECAP is actually constructed on top of these two things of SILA-5 and LAWPhysics, and actually the board is a combination of the International Scientific Council of SILA-5 and the board of LAWPhysics HECAP. So if you go in the page, well, here we have some activities, some announcements. Actually, what I want to show very quickly is some activity report. So every 2 years, there's a SILA-5, as you all know. And the idea is that every SILA-5 has a general assembly of this LAA HECAP. So we had one last year in Mexico in November. And we had second general assembly of LAA HECAP. And just to show you here, maybe it's clear if I show here the structure of our association. There's a board, there's an executive committee, There's LASFI, there's LAWPhi, there's International Scientific Committee. The LASFI has a preparatory group, a high-level strategy group. The preparatory group is divided into physics working groups, and then we have several committees that helps us to get more input from our community. And I think Diego mentioned the idea of interacting with some of these committees, and the committees make reports also. So, so what are the outcomes of this association? So there are a few outcomes. For instance, just a few. I just want to highlight that we are asked to nominate LAA HECAP representative to this 11 commission. This is the Commission of Particles and Fields of IUPAP. We also had a call for LA representatives in this International Committee for Future Accelerators. We were nominated by CLAF. And I think one of the results of this community is that for the first time, this international conference on high energy physics is going to be held in Latin America. This is the first time this is happening. This is something we think is very important for our community. So we also had some other results. We obtained actually 2 6-month grants from the CTP network program, and with that we could fund some visits. So the idea is, of course, to increase the interaction among research groups in Latin America. So we had several, we had a call, we received several proposals, and we had a committee to select the proposals. And we were very happy to finance 6 visits using these 2 months fellowships grants from the ICTP network. Fortunately, ICTP is having some budget constraints, and we're not able to get this grant first semester, and hopefully the second semester we'll try again. But the other thing is that we also got, where is it? A CLAF grant with LAA HECAP for mobility in Latin America with a budget of $10,000 for 1 year. We had a call also, and we were able to select 6 projects for this. So we're very happy that this also could be done. So this is all within the LAA HECAP framework. And this is what we announced here in this page. Very good. So I hope you, something that's going on right now, actually, I have to say, is that Europe is undertaking now the update of their strategy in particle physics, high energy particle physics. So the European strategy particle physics is being updated, and they're asking for inputs. And I hope you received an email from members of LAA HECAP. We have a form where we're getting inputs from our community so that we can write a white paper to the European particle physics strategy update. So this is going on right now. And this is also something that is important. Okay, so if you're interested in LAA HECAP, this is the statutes. So these are the objectives. I'm not going to read all the objectives, but basically to strengthen existing ties within Latin American HECAP community and foster new and existing collaborations, engage with the wider scientific community and general public through the promotion of HECAP, represent the Latin American HECAP communities in other scientific international bodies. So this is, as I said, this is happening in the IUPAP C11 committee and also ICFA. Also, we want to be a hub of activities in HECAP and announce these activities. We have an extensive mailing list. So we already have more than 500 members. If you're interested in the statutes, you can find them here. And I hope you're interested also in becoming a member if you're not a member. So if you're not a member, it's very easy. Just there's a very simple application form, a Google Doc that you can fill from here. And we have boards and several committees that you can access here. We also have a list of current members that we have in this page. So there is something missing this page, and I think what is missing is a link to to this activity, to LAWPhysics. So I hope after this talk, I talk to Nicolas and Joel and Roberto and try to get the link of these amazing activities in the page. So this is, I think this is all I have to say, in fact. I just want to invite everyone that works and have interested in high energy cosmology, astroparticle physics, to be a member of HECAP. You don't have to pay anything, which actually means we don't have any money. So we need to get money from applying to things, and so it's important to have the community behind us. So far, we have been lucky to have these 2 grants from ICT-PPS and also this grant from CLAP. And we hope to continue. If you know any opportunity, let us know. We applied to several things like the Bank of Development, it's called BID, no? The Bank of
American Development Bank.
Yeah, yes. And we didn't get anything from them. We also applied to a Canadian funding agency. We also didn't get anything from them, but we keep trying. Now with Joel, we think of applying to Simons. So who knows? They have network programs as well. Maybe Fernando can help with that too. And yeah, so we keep trying to get funds. And these funds are for mobility, basically mobility in the region, because we think we already have a critical mass in the region in several areas. As you know, Brazil recently became an associate member of CERN, and Chile is on the way of becoming an associate member of CERN. So yeah, I think we also participate in several cosmological projects like the Dark Energy Survey, the Legacy Survey of Space and Time, LSST. So LSST has now members from Chile, Argentina, Brazil, and Mexico. So it's growing. The Latin American participation is growing. So I just want to invite everyone that is listening to us, if you're not a member yet, please become a member. You will receive our emails. In emails, we ask for several inputs from the community and announce opportunities as well. Thank you very much. And yeah, and congratulations again for the 10-year anniversary. I hope to see the 15th year, the 20th year. And yeah, okay, thanks.
Many thanks, Rogerio, for the presentation. So yeah, it's important to emphasize to everybody that anybody can join, right? Anybody can join the association, right? So if you're watching, once this thing ends, you should sign up. Right. So okay. At this moment, I don't know if there's any questions by anybody regarding the association or maybe anything on YouTube. We're having congratulations being sent. And yes, Rogerio, if you want, we'll be more than happy to send you the link for the webinars.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Now the idea was more or less to talk a little bit. Now the time has passed very quickly. The idea was to have kind of like a conversation of where Latin America is going, and maybe have some recommendations for the community, things like this. It's a shame that Marta couldn't be here. But maybe, I don't know, Fernando, from your point of view, what are your insights on where the community is going, on what we should focus on, this kind of things?
Well, I don't know. Well, first of all, congratulations. It's a very, very good thing that you have been doing. And it was ahead of time because before Zoom and all those things. So it's a very good initiative, and it's good to have keep the Latin American community together. And the same for Rogerio. Rogerio has been a wonderful president of this association. I think it's always with good spirit and always promoting everything and working very hard. And so it's very good. So I think things are moving very well in the community. In the sense that we are getting closer and closer. Creating this association, I think there was this recommendation, as Rogerio said, from this high-level strategic group for LASFRI, and it made a lot of sense because now we can represent as a community. For instance, the SILAFI was who is organizing SILAFI is a committee, but what is this committee? But now it's part of a community which is well established. So in that sense, that's good. And I would say in the same sense now, this what's called a low, I forgot. Well, this webinar. So
LAWPhysics.
LAWPhysics. So this can be taken as the 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 part of the association regarding the seminar. So in that sense, things can be done in a very much more organized way, which I think is good because it will attract more visibility and support and so on. We were very enthusiastic with the last free. I have to say we spent a lot of effort with Marta, Rogerio, Marcela, and others, and I think it came out of I remember from the 5th anniversary of ICTP Cipher, and I think we were discussing. I think Diego was there also. What would be the future? I mean, now there is an institute, we have conferences, activities. What should be happening next? And then the idea of last free came out. So in that sense, and then we started working on that. And I was actually impressed by the reaction of the community. It's so many white papers, people enthusiastic proposing ideas and so on. And so I think that is good. It shows that there is already critical mass in the continent, not in countries, or you can say particular countries, not, but in the continent, and with the support of bigger countries like Brazil and Mexico and Argentina, we can have carry the other countries with it. So that I think is one of the reasons to get organized, because the smaller countries have, I can tell you from my own experience in Central America, there are less than 5 active science high energy physicists in each of the countries. So we need the support of the rest of the community. And there are several things that had helped to get to this point. It's not and so one of the things that I was very impressed is when they had Helen, this high energy Latin American European network in the past. It helped to create a community and to have the concrete link with CERN. So those kind of opportunities we have to take advantage and try to keep trying to see something like that can be revived or organized in a similar, in a different way, but also getting the support from the European Union or other organizations. So, and of course, the difficult thing is to get funding, and then we have to keep trying, as Rogerio said. That is people always say that the funding is always there. The question is you have to have access to it, and if we are organized as a community, that's a first step. So before that, everything is random and cannot be done. So in that sense, I think we're going in the right direction. We need to be lucky, and sometimes we haven't been lucky. Whether the firms like Andes would have been a green, and apparently it's not moving. But so we have to start searching for the good opportunities. So but I think it's good to see as a community which is big. It's experimentalists, phenomenologists, astro people, and even more formal people, which I count more or less in the middle. for instance, I know that there is a small community around the string theory that they also have their own. I forgot what it's called. I don't know, Siembra, one of those names I forgot. But I know that Guillermo Silva and other people in Argentina, so they keep having seminars and so on. So it would be nice also to incorporate them together with the rest. So I think we are a whole community, and putting all that together is a big community now already. People, formal theory, phenomenologists, experimentalists, and so on. And one of the things that can be used also is the entering into big collaborations, as we have been trying with the last three. Experiments in the region, there are very few, but there are, like Pierre Roger and Hawk and so on, but also collaborations outside. So now that CERN is trying to attract more participation into the Future Collider initiative, it's a good opportunity for Latin America to come up and say, well, we want to join. And they will be totally open because they're trying to promote, they're trying to benefit from us joining us because they need the support, the political support from many countries. So in that sense, Latin America can play a role to help CERN to get the FCC working. But of course, we will benefit if we can just join as a team or something. So in that sense, that's something that would be good to think about. So it's anyway. So I'm just random thoughts that I think that can be done. But I'm very pleased that the community is moving and things. There are initiatives, very people with good initiatives like you. Also, I have to mention the LAWPhysics. They have been very good in use in Venezuela and Colombia and Ecuador and in Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, and there's another country I forgot, Paraguay maybe. There were 4 countries, 8 institutions, and they have a master program also. And they got over €1 million from the European Union, and now they got an extra funding for a similar initiative that they're going to incorporate Central American countries. So all this can be put as part of the of activities of the association, for instance, the different initiatives that can attract more people to join, but also eventually to attract some funding. So let's hope that eventually we can be successful with not only the 10,000 a year or something, but maybe more funding from European Union or the bank or something. But we have to prove that we can do things and that the community works, and that's the first step. Anyway, so that's my thoughts about it.
Thanks, Fernando. It's very, very, very eye-opening. I don't know.
Can I say a few words?
Yes, of course. Please.
Well, first of all, it's hard to add anything to what Fernando said. He said it all. But one thing that Fernando forgot to mention is actually his brainchild, being very important in South America and in the region, which is the ICTP South American Institute for Fundamental Research, has become a hub for activities in the region. And there is money. We have funding. In fact, we're going to have an increase in funding from FAPESP, from the Funding Agency of the State of São Paulo. And so we're planning to have calls, different types of calls, and you can think of different types of things. Only restriction is that it has to be done in São Paulo. But we can think of something like that. Suppose, and we're going to have that. We call it focus programs. So suppose you have a specific topic that you guys want to discuss. There's a community, very focused topic that the community wants to discuss quickly. So we can apply and come and spend a week here, a small group of people intensively working on that. Also something we call team project or something like that. Suppose that you guys are collaborating on something like 5 people or 4 people are finishing a paper, and they want to get together to finish the paper, that's also a possibility to meet in São Paulo and finish this paper. So this type of things are being discussed right now at ICTP Safer. And also, if you want to know more about BLASTFree, for instance, we had a very nice meeting of BLASTFree with all the white papers were presented. This was last year at ICTP Safer. All the presentations are online. And we also had presentations from Hitoshi Murayama talking about the P5, Paris Spikas talking about the European Particle Physics Strategy Update, Christophe Rogerio talking about FCC, Yifeng Wang talking about the Circular Electron Positron Collider project in China. So it was a very nice workshop. Again, all the videos are available, all the slides are available. Please take a look. And what Fernando said also of the CERN opportunity, I fully agree with him. And we're in touch with Salvatore Meli, who is in charge of the international relations at CERN. And in fact, he's behind this effort of having a white paper about the future of CERN. So this European particle strategy is actually CERN. It's European, it's CERN. And they're very eager to know what we in Latin America are thinking about CERN. And I hope you had received an email from LAWPhysics asking for your contribution. Just fill up a form to see what you think about the future of CERN. And this will help us to write a white paper, which is community-based. If you don't receive money, inputs from individuals, because these are individual inputs, maybe you are not going to write one, okay? At the moment, we have 75 contributions from the whole community of Latin America, HECAP. We have more 500 people. So if you can spread the word, if you receive the email, and if you want to spread, I think it's going to be really important to say what we want from CERN, what we think CERN should do, and then we write a white paper about this. We're even thinking if people want, after we get the input and we start writing a draft, we can have a town hall meeting online, of course, to discuss this white paper to be sent to the European strategy update. So yeah, I think that's what I'll have to say. Thank you.
Many thanks, Rogerio. I don't know, Roberto, you haven't commented anything for a while already.
Yeah. I wanted to add, because Fernando, Rogerio, they talked about very impressive the organization for Latin America. But one of the stuff that was very interesting is the point that experiments that are gonna be in Latin America, they drive the community. And in that case, I remember the case that is gonna be in 2 years more or something like that. This similar to HOC, that is the SWGO. That at the end is kind of a very nice collaboration, because there are many countries in Latin America: Chile, Peru, Argentina, Mexico, Colombia, and it's gonna be a gamma ray observatory that is kind of the large part of the collaboration is Latin American. There are, of course, people in Germany, in Spain, in Italy, India, China, so on. But it's the fact that if big experiment or not so big experiment came to Latin America, they're gonna drive this effort to form the community, because by ourselves we cannot compete with other countries if we are just a small island of people that doing research in a topic. Yeah. No, but it's very important to coordinate the effort in Latin America.
Yeah, just to mention that SWGO wrote a white paper, and of course they're going to be considered in the strategy, on the update of the strategy. SWGO, I don't think was in the previous strategy. I think it's a new thing, or if it was very preliminary. So now they have a site chosen in Chile. It's much more developed.
So we are reaching already 1.5 hours, so I think we should start wrapping up, I think. Again, it's a shame that Marta couldn't come.
There is a question in YouTube.
Is there?
Yes,
Can you
from
read,
Morales Alvarado.
read it, please?
Yeah, let me, because I have it in the cell phone, so, okay, but the question, I mean, he's asking he's sending us congratulations, and he's asking what are the long-term goals for higher physics in Latin America, and what are the milestones there is a heart here, they should achieve in the next decade?
That's an easy question.
What are your predictions?
That's exactly what we're going to fix. That we have to answer this as a community. That's not me to say, or Fernando, or Joel, or Nicolas, or Roberto, no, or Diego. It's the community that has to say that.
Yeah, we have to meet and talk.
Super.
Yes. We have a whole conference just on this question. Yes.
One important thing before wrapping up is that in the near future, we'll be having a call for new collaborators here in New Physics, in LAWPhysics. And so I would really like to call attention on female physicists to join us. We've been all males for all of these 10 years. And it's not because we have not tried to, have a more diverse crowd, but we have failed in attracting a more diverse crowd of coordinators. So if you are interested in joining us, please write to us, right? Or keep your eyes open for the call, and please join, right? We will only be asking for a CV or something like this. You just have to be doing particle physics for you to join, right? So please consider joining us if you want to do so. And I don't know, maybe we should have Nicolas closing the the meeting. Maybe.
Roberto has really been the one behind this initiative, no? The boss.
Roberto's a big boss.
No, but it's good to. I mean, let's aim for the celebration on the 2 decades of law physics. I think.
Indeed. And then the comparison of the pictures, that will be dramatic.
Yeah.
Not allowed.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you, Fernando. Thank you, Rogerio. Thanks, Diego, who had to leave, and also to the other collaborators who Walter, who had to leave, and then Alejandro, who is ill. Nothing serious, I understand, but he couldn't be here. So thanks for everybody for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Seeing you all around.
Bye.